Welcome Chess Advanced, and hey, this game is going to be one epic game because hey, this game is from the Olympiad from 2024, and India is facing Azerbaijan. And with the white pieces, we have Arjun Erigaisi. We have already shown 4 of his games, and 4 of his games he's won all 4 of them. He's on 4 out of 4, and now he's facing Rauf Mamedov of Azerbaijan. And yeah, this game is going to be very insane. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Let's see what Arjun has with the white pieces. So Arjun starts with e4. We have c5 by Rauf. Now going for the Sicilian defense, knight to f3, d6, and d4. We have cd, knight d, and here knight to f6, just knight to c3, g6 now, and just going for this bishop to e3. So we are going into the dragon, and here bishop g7 was played. And you could go for a very nice move in this position, which I really like, which is f4. And if you castle here, then just bishop to e2. But there are some stipulations even with this. I mean, it looks like if you're just going all out, all aggressive here, just castles, and you're going to be absolutely fine. Maybe just this and castle queenside as well. Just get the rooks into the game, maybe just push those pawns all the way. It looks very nice, believe me. But the thing is that knight to c6 comes, queen to d3 you play, then knight to b4 comes, then queen to d2 you play e5, knight bd5, and here after a6 now you just go knight captures. Looks nice, but here just knight caps on c2, and you have to understand queen captures, and suddenly your attack is that you thought was happening a lot faster is not happening anymore if someone knows all of these lines. But here after bishop to g7, here f3 was played, which is a very nice theoretical move. Here just knight to c6, we have queen to d2 castles now, but now just bishop to c4, and here knight caps on d4, bishop captures, bishop to e6, and just bishop goes back. So if you want to trade, you just trade on my terms. And here in this position, just queen to a5, and saying that I'm just going to be pushing those pawns. I'm going to be starting an attack. My bishop is already eyeing this. This bishop is eyeing this. Are you interested in maybe a queenside castle? And Arjun, the king of chaos, the absolute madman in this position, goes for a queenside castle, saying that, well, if you have anything, why don't you just throw it at me? Let's see if I'm able to tackle it or not. But just b5 immediately, going for it here. Just king to b1, always a very nice prophylactic move. b4 now, but now just comes this knight to d5, bishop captures, e captures, and just queen to b5. And you think like, yeah, I mean, definitely, I mean, he's the chaos king, and you don't throw chaos at chaos king because he will always out chaos you. So here this queen to d3 was played, asking for a queen trade, because if you're able to trade the queens, the attack is not happening as fast as it was supposed to, and definitely Arjun will definitely enjoy it. So here queen captures, he falls right into Arjun's trap. Here just rook captures, rook f to c8 was played, and it's not a bad move, but the thing is that your attack is definitely not going to happen as fast as with the queen. And here rook to e1 was played, but now just comes here rook to c7, c3, and if you trade here b captures, then just rook caps on c3. And the thing is that if you trade, it only helps white, because here bishop pair are already very nicely operational. If you go for a move like king to f8, bishop comes here, you go knight caps on d5, then your position just completely crumbles. I'm sure you can see it, what the move is. First bishop captures, king captures, and the very nice you're just losing a piece basically for nothing. But let's say you try to be a little bit more well, decent in the game and try to calculate everything. Let's say you play rook to c8, then just bishop to c6, blocking the rook, knight to e8. Now just going with the bishop back, knight to c7. Yes, this seems like a very nice threat, but now just comes b4, and I mean, Arjun is definitely going to find all of this. Hey, just a5, a3, but now just comes, I mean, actually, a3 is not the best move here. The best move is rook to c4. Yeah, I forgot about that. That rook jump is absolutely phenomenal, because here there is nothing you can do. If you want to trade everything, a captures, and here after rook captures, bishop captures, I have an outside pass pawn, and my position will be completely winning. So yeah, that was the move. And here, I mean, this position is just, I mean, Arjun is definitely going to excel at this. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind. But here after c3, here a5 was played. And now the thing is that, what do you do here? C captures was played by Arjun, A captures, and now just going for g4 in this position. He's definitely trying to create counterplay in this position. Rook a to c8, rook d to d1, and here just bishop to h6. So getting the bishop activated, you already are putting a lot of pressure on the c file. How is Arjun going to do anything in this position? Just h4. He's saying that, well, g5 is coming, brother. What are you going to do? Hey, bishop to f4 was played, just getting out of that, but just bishop to b6, attacking the rook. Rook moves, and now bishop goes back, asking for a bishop trade. Bishop captures, rook captures, king to f8, and now just bishop to a4. It seems like a very drawish position, and that's how it all seems like once you start chess. But this is not a drawish position, because here Arjun is going to show you how. Here just rook to c5 was played, but now just comes bishop to c6, rook moves, and now just going for this g5. So he's keeping his opponent on his toes. Definitely every move is a move where you have to play the must find move, and that sometimes becomes a trouble, because here knight to d7, now just comes rook to d4, getting all his pieces activated. Now that pawn is I mean, very weak. Here Arjun just goes to rook to b3, and now just going for this e5. and you don't gain anything from going for en passant because your piece would hang. So here, rook d captures on b4, knight captures on b4, rook to b8 check, king to g7, and bishop captures on d5. So trading everything going into the endgame. But is it good for Arjun? Is it bad for Arjun? We're just gonna have to see here. Rook captures on d5 was played. We have rook 3 to b7, rook captures, and rook to d4. The thing is that outside pass pawns sometimes are a very high nuisance in the endgame because you have two connected pass pawns. You just don't have one pawn. And the thing is that if you're able to just even misplay this even by a slightest bit of margin, because you have to understand white is already 0.9. So in endgame, one mistake, you're just dead. And here b4 was played, but now here rook captures on h4 was played, which is not a good move. If you go for a move like d5 in this position, maybe you hold, but that is very, very difficult and tricky to find, because even if you go for a move like, I mean, king to c2 is definitely coming, rook captures on h4 if you try to go, then here just b5, rook to c4 check, king moves. Now you go for rook to f4 trying to grab this, but the thing is that you can already see the engine evaluation has shifted a lot, because you're supposed to be pushing that pawn. What are you doing in this position? Maybe if you go for e4 somewhere along the line, that would have been fine as well a few moves ago. Here after the king moves, you could go for e4, I mean, but it's just very difficult, because now if rook was here, e4 makes sense, but if you play e4 now, here just you cannot even recapture, so that would be a problem. And the thing is that b6 is definitely coming in the position. It's just very difficult and annoying position to have, where the central pawns, have to keep the king out of here. And how do you do that? Maybe if we move back and try to just push the pawn all the way, but still the rook is somewhere along the line going to join in, and maybe you'll be able to pick one of the pawns, but the second pawn is going to be a nuisance then, so still the end game is going to be very difficult. Here rook to f4 was played. Rook to f4 could be played, but b6, rook caps on f3, just showing you one of the lines here. Rook to f1, a4, rook to b1 check, king to c5, rook to a1. Still this position could crumble in any second, but after b4 here, rook caps on h4 was played, which is not a good move. At a4, now h5 was played. G captures on passant, rook captures a5, now just comes rook to h3, and rook to h3 is a complete blunder, because you can see that the bar shifting, and here maybe Rauf realized it as well. He was down to 55 seconds on the clock, cannot blame him. I mean, I told you that the two pass pawns is just very difficult. You have to find the absolute best play, and if I show you the position that was there just a moment ago, you can see this pass pawns being there. I mean, black's pawn were actually on the right or flank where you're supposed to push, but you have to eliminate one of the pawns, and these pawns have no resistance, and that's the point here. And just look at the moves here, few positions later, you still have the pawns there, but look at these pawns, how much they have advanced. And this is just the thing, you have to advance your pawn, always push your pass pawn. And here a6 was played, but now just comes rook caps on f3, but it's a bit too late. Rook to b5, now e4, a7, e3, but it's, I mean, just completely over. King to c2 was played, and it was on this move, on just move 44, that Rauf Mamedov resigned the game, and Arjun Erigaisi was able to take home this victory. He's on 5 out of 5. Out of all the games he's played, he's won all of them and given India 5 crucial points, and this against Azerbaijan as well. And India was able to beat Azerbaijan because of all these crucial contributions Arjun has been making. I mean, I've already shown you Gokesh's contributions, where 10 out of 11, Divya's contribution, where she got 9.5 out of 11. And yeah, this is just amazing play by Arjun. He is on 5 out of 5, and we will be covering the rest of the games as well. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be able to see you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.